Welcome back to another episode of Goosebumps Podcast Can Be Murder. That one Goosebumps podcast that's not that new. Today I'm joined by three of my co-hosts. I'm joined by Brandon Sime, also known as Dead Shock Studios.
Hello.
I'm joined by the Grinch, also known as Centerton Goosebumps fan / Randy Feltface fan.
Hello.
And I'm joined by Josh, also known as an Otaku Life for Me.
What's up?
And today we're going to be reviewing another book in the Goosebumps series. Today we broke double digits. We're reviewing book number 10, The Ghost Next Door. Let's just kind of get into it then. The Ghost Next Door is the 10th book in the Goosebumps series. It is about our main character, Hannah. She's at home this summer. Her best friend, Jenny or Janie or Gina? Her best friend, Gina, went off to camp and was supposed to write her letters every day, but she has not sent a single letter yet to our old girl, Hannah. Hannah happens to notice that there's a new kid who moved into the house next door. She goes to sleep, the house is empty, she wakes up the next day, and this new kid's just randomly moved in. His name's Danny. Now, Danny, according to the book, is a ginger. He's not a ginger in the episode, but in the book, he's a ginger. That's an important note for some reason. I figure I'd just go out of my way to put that out there. So Hannah starts to essentially try to befriend Danny, and, she kind of catches him up on the neighborhood culture. All of her and the rest of the neighborhood is messed with their mailman, Mr. Chesney. Mr. Kenny Chesney. No, seriously, that's his name. Look it up. I don't know why, but that's his name.
Or if he's secretly a country star,
Maybe.
He could be secretly a country star.
Maybe people don't like him because all their parents think his tractor's sexy. Anyway, so Hannah goes into detail at some point and talks about how her and some of the other neighborhood kids decided to go prank Mr. Chesney by spray painting his windows, which, I don't know about you guys, but even in the 90s, it doesn't seem like a fair or okay prank.
It's kind of stupid.
It's property destruction. It's extreme.
It is property destruction, but it's also stupid.
I know, but you could throw a couple eggs at somebody, but, why would you spray paint their windows? It's a dick move.
Yeah, it's kind of just okay, it's kind of stupid.
I guess, we're not supposed to look that deep into it. This is a kid's book. Anyway, Hannah notices there's this dark figure that's hanging around, and she starts to think that maybe, just maybe, Danny's a ghost. And that dark... You guys remember that? It describes a dark figure with red eyes.
Honestly, that's so weird.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what's so weird? I was looking at the character you were talking about, and he kind of looks like the Grim Reaper in the picture... The only picture we see of him.
Yeah, well, are you talking about the one from the episode, or are you talking about, there's an art?
The art from the cards.
Okay, yeah.
The episode's different, I could tell.
Yeah, so essentially, we're going to get into him in a bit, but let's kind of continue the pace here. So, weird things kind of happen, and you notice throughout the book, it kind of cues up. Hannah hasn't talked to anybody, at all, outside of Danny.
Except for the kid next door.
It's outside of her family and Danny, and her family never seems to be around. So they'll get to a point in the book where Danny, his two friends, and Hannah are all at this ice cream shop, and Danny and his two friends grab cones and run out. Again, we're just ne'er-do-wells in this book, I guess. The ice cream shop owner chases the boys out and runs right past Hannah, and she's just like, rude. She doesn't seem to grasp that nobody's noticing her because she's a ghost. And what's interesting is we're about 75% through the book, and we finally kind of get the big twist that Hannah's a ghost. But the book's not over because that shadow that we just mentioned essentially is now working with Hannah to help her master her ghost powers. And we come to find out that the shadow is actually not a shadow, but
evil ghost.
It's a future ghost. It's a ghost that wants to take Danny's place when he dies. But wouldn't Danny just become a ghost?
Yeah.
That was to me, I didn't really understand what the point of was having the Phantom because he's a future ghost. You die to become a ghost? To become a ghost?
Yeah.
He's already a ghost.
I think what he wants to do is take Danny's
shape?
body.
Well, I think he wants his shape, but...
And he can't do that with Danny's soul inside, so he needs Danny to die.
So my question is this then. So, was Hannah originally the shape before she became the ghost then? Because technically, this is a ghost, so why is she working against her own people, technically?
Yeah, Bump.
Yeah.
I'm reading the book right now, and I'm not going to spoil anything right now because we're not halfway through the book yet, but it definitely has a different themes and different endings to the episode.
Well,
technically.
Yeah, in the book, essentially, they decide to go prank Chesney. You know, no one's a member of the neighborhood till they prank Kenny Chesney. So Danny and his two friends go to break into Chesney's house. In the show, they were going to light a stink bomb, but they're playing with matches in Chesney's house. It's like, what do you expect's going to happen? You're f***ing around with fire.
Yeah, literally.
You also come to find out how Hannah died. Hannah died in a fire, which her and her little brothers were having a bonfire in their backyard. They didn't put it all the way out, and everyone went to bed, and then it kind of ignited and killed her and the family.
Oh, hey, Bump. I was reading, it says, Danny's ghost said, I'll no longer be in shadow, I'll be born. Danny will go in the shadows in my world, in my place. So eventually he's supposed to die in the fire, and then this, Reaper guy, we're supposed to take his place.
But still, that's just scary. So, like, is this R.L. Stein's concept of hell? Is this how demons take shape? Like, there's not a lot to it. Okay, so in the book, doesn't Hannah essentially save Danny?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, both book and episode she saves him.
I know, but isn't it different? How does she save him in the book?
So I think it's almost basically at the episode where he gets Danny out of the house, but then her family calls her, and then he's like, Danny, remember me?
No, I know. That's not what I asked you, though. I asked you how she saves him, not what happens after she saves him.
Huh? I think she opens the door.
Yeah.
She opens the door in the book, but in the show she plays the piano, which
attracts people to the house.
In the same breath, though, think about this. Like, in a sane world, like, you're a firefighter, right? You show up to a house fire, it's on fire. Who the hell's going to stop and play the piano besides meth heads?
That or a ghost.
Or meth heads. The more realistic answer. So after she saves Danny and the Phantom essentially loses his game of taking his place, she determines that's why she came back as a ghost, to stop Danny from having the same fate as her. Like Grinch says, essentially her family so in the book her mom's just calling her, Hannah, it's time to come home. In the show we see her whole family appear and take her back to the other side.
Yeah, and then they disappear. I never really liked the book, but the episode's okay with me. I mean, when I remember seeing it, and I think I cried a little at the very end, just because it was kind of like, like the mom's deaf, and she's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, oh, just a friend.
I did forget to mention that. We have a scene where she goes into Danny's house, and the house really isn't like prepared to live in yet, and the mom's deaf, so she just assumes that the mom's a ghost too, and it's kind of rude, right? She's just like, everyone's ghosts. Yeah. Her big ghost reveal comes when they're playing soccer, and she goes to kick a ball, and she falls right down and hits her knee. Danny goes to lift her up, and she goes right through him.
Yeah.
Was it the worst twist in Goosebumps history? No. Was this by far the best Goosebumps book we've ever read so far? No. It was a book. So let's go in order here. Let's start with Grinch.
It was a book.
It was a book.
That's a great way to put it.
Grinch, why don't you tell me something you enjoyed about this book?
I love how we get the stepping stones of figuring out, like, hey, something's going on. Also, I love how they use the Hannah thing for later on with the Goosebumps movie, because there's a character named Hannah in that movie.
See, I hated that.
So it's like a stepping stone for the Goosebumps movie.
Yeah, see, I personally hated that. I respect that. Opinions can always be different. Brandon, what's one thing you enjoyed about this book?
That it ended.
There it is. Josh, what's one thing you enjoyed about this book?
That I got through it.
Personally for me, I think one thing I really enjoyed about this book was the fact that Kenny Chesney was in it.
Yeah. I would love to meet Kenny Chesney, and just be like, hey Kenny, hey Kenny, how was it getting to be in a Goosebumps book?
Yeah, it's like, hey, can you sign this junk mail for me, dog? I'll be honest with you, like I said, it was a book. It wasn't the worst book. Let's put it like this. So, Let's Get Invisible originally was one of my least favorite books, and as of right now, this is ranked lower than Let's Get Invisible. I think this is...
Let's go. It deserves that.
This is probably about tied with The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb for as boring as books have been so far of what we've read. And that's just my opinion, so... Alright, Grinch, why don't you tell me something you didn't like about this book?
It's definitely the whole, hey, we're going to pull a prank by stealing candy or ice cream, doing something to a neighbor for no reason at all. And...
Okay. Nothing wrong with those choices. Brandon, what's one thing you didn't like about the book?
Just how slow it was. It was such a slow book, in my opinion.
It was a slogger.
Like, it took me the entire week last week of being sick to read the book. It took me an hour to read every other book in the series.
Yeah, when they're homework,
Books.
it's not fun. Josh, what's one thing you disliked about this book?
The book.
Hey,
Wow.
hey man, Trees died for this. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No, he's right though. Honestly, like I said, it was not the worst book. It's, in my opinion, probably close to the worst book I've read so far in the series with you as a group. But it's not the worst book. Legend. There's plenty of shitty books coming down the rails, especially when Stein's ghostwriters take over. I mean, I will give credit here. So here's one positive thing I can say, because I know I'm kind of shitting on this book. I think it was a neat concept where it was like the Sixth Sense, you know? Like, it was actually before, it maybe inspired the Sixth Sense because this came out before it, but essentially, the main character being the ghost was a nice twist. It's just, the idea's cool, the overarching story built around it is shit. It's like building a home, like a full-ass porch around a mobile home. Don't.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Also, Bob,
Yeah.
we also need to talk about the villain since we talked about the villain in every other book.
Sure, we can definitely talk about the true villain, and you seem to have an idea of who it is, so why don't you start us off? Who was the true villain of this book?
I feel like it's more of peer pressure, like the other one, in a way, because like the boy were like, hey, you want to do this? You can't get in the club until you do this. Like, I know the villain in this book is definitely the Shadow, but it's definitely peer pressure.
That's a fair statement. Brandon, who do you think the true villain of this book was?
The Shadow.
The Shadow, okay. So the darkness itself.
The eternal void that is that book.
Josh, who do you think the main villain of this book was?
Depression. Because Hannah's poor, her friend moved away, and now she has no one to hang out with.
Womp womp.
And then she has to go out and find new friends, and it's hard for her.
What the true villain of this book was?
What?
Well, this is a book, and that's the true villain of this
Elastic for
book.
greenlighting it.
Alright, so I got one that's gonna... I'm actually surprised no one said this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it as mine. The true villain of this book was thermal energy.
Oh.
Because,
Oh, good one.
technically, one of the 4 primal states or elements is fire. Fire is what killed Hannah, causing her to become a ghost, which then fueled this entire book's story. Fire was the true villain.
True.
Yeah, because, you know, fire don't give no shits whether you're Kenny Chesney or a little girl. It's going to kill you no matter what.
Oh, yeah, Spire's a forgiving mistress.
And technically, fire beat the shadow, so really, fire was the true villain of this book. But anyway, let's score this bad boy. Grinch, what would you rate this book on a scale of 1 through 10?
Definitely a 3 because it's not bad, but not good either.
That's your lowest score to date, outside of, like, ranking the new Goosebumps episodes from 2023.
Yeah, trust me, you don't want to go there.
All right, Brandon, what would you score this book 1 through 10?
3.
Wow, okay. Josh?
1.
Shoo!
Dang.
And myself, you know what? I'm pretty much with you guys. It's out of 3. But of course, Josh's score is going to tank it, so...
Sorry, I just do not like this book.
Listen, don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry, because get this, Josh. In about, like, 40-odd books, you're going to have to complain with us. Well, actually, more argue with us about Chicken.
2.5.
God, Brandon, I swear to epic God.
Josh, I swear
if
to
you
God.
even bring up Chicken's a good book or a Stranger Code, I will
Josh?
fly down to Wisconsin and I'll kick your ass for
Lie
free.
down? What, are you from Canada? Oh, Canada?
No, but that's where they shot this. This book scored a 2.5. It's our lowest scoring book to date.
That's amazing.
Like I said, it's not the worst Goosebumps book ever written, but it was... Out of the first 10, it's boring.
It's a 25%.
Yeah, more or less. So out of 100, which is terrible.
Great.
Let's talk about the episode and how they wasted an episode on this because it was a 2-parter.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I like the episode a little bit more than the book.
No.
So,
God, no.
No.
Listen, the episode, terrible. Dude, how many times, and I know I know I did film in school, so I catch on to shit like this, but how many times did they film during the day and put a blue light filter on it and have her act like she was outside at night? Too many.
Technically like 5 or 6.
Dude, half of the goddamn episode, she's just running down the street, and it's the brightest you've ever seen at night because it's actually day. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, you have a point there, actually.
can I say about something about this episode?
Yeah.
What?
I feel like the villain was underutilized in this episode. We barely see him. Like, I get he's a voice in her head, but still, like, you could have a body for him. Like, I don't know, the shadow, like he did in the book.
I don't disagree with you, but I will tell you this. He's creepy as hell because he's hanging around a little girl. And, you know, as an adult, as a kid, it didn't really bother me, but as an adult, I'm like, dude, you just are screaming.
He's only a voice.
Like I said, it's slow, it's boring, it's not really exciting. I mean, granted, not every Goosebumps has to have extremely high stakes, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. I would rather, this one is almost as bad, in my opinion, as the Chillology. I would rather watch Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. I enjoy that one more than this one.
Oh, but also, Give Me a Murder, I think, is one of the great, personally.
I would rather watch You Can't Scare Me than this one.
Oh.
I'd rather watch Chillology than that.
I don't know.
I would rather watch Chicken Chicken. If they made an episode about this, then
That's right, baby.
All
Chicken sweep.
Seriously, I got it. I would rather watch Be Careful What You Wish For 50 times than watch this ever again.
I'd rather watch the Blavu A, everybody.
That was a good one. What?
I watched that episode just recently. I love that episode.
I would rather watch The Headless Ghost.
I hope the blob gets you, Grinch. I hope he gets your feet while you're asleep tonight.
What did I do?
You talk shit about a good episode.
I like the.
Okay, I'm sorry, then my bad. We were comparing garbage episodes compared to, like, this one. Like, this is low ranking.
I'm trying to talk about a good episode. That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, okay, so we thought you were putting a bad one out there.
I got it. I would rather watch The Barking Ghost 70 times before this.
That's just pretty garbage like that one.
Hear me out. I would rather. Oh my god.
Strain peas.
Even just saying this. I would rather watch. I'd rather watch Strain Peas.
How the f*** did I know you were going to say that?
I went there.
God damn.
Okay, if we're going to do that, then fine. I'm going to do my own. I would rather watch the old story 16 times than watch
Hey, that was a decent one.
The old story is funny. It's funny.
Yeah, it's so bad it's funny. Let's rate the episode of The Ghost Next Whore. Starting with the Grinch, what would you rate the episode?
0.
Wow.
Anything.
Okay.
Brandon, what would you rate it?
I'll give it a 1, just to be nice.
Okay. Josh?
I give it a 2.
I'm going to be generous and give it a 2.5. Grand total, 1.375. Rounding it down, this episode scores a 1. It's not a good episode. It's not the worst. It's just not good. It's not exciting. There's 62 books, and we wasted 2 episodes on The Ghost Next Door.
I only know one person in my entire life who ever said this was their favorite story, and I just looked at them and like I feel so bad for you.
All right, so guys, we've reached a crucial point here in the podcast. We need to make a decision as a team. Our next book choices are a Give Yourself Goosebumps book, which we haven't done in a little bit, so it'd be kind of nice to get back to that, which is book number 2, TikTok, You're Dead, or we can review the coveted Haunted Mask. And Brandon, what do you vote for?
I vote for TikTok, You're Dead, just to mix it up a little.
Okay. Randy Feltface, what do you vote for?
Definitely TikTok, You're Dead. It's one of my favorite books.
Okay, and Josh?
TikTok, You're Dead.
Well, it sounds like it's a group consensus. We're going to be reading TikTok, You're Dead next. So, next question is this. Brandon, you weren't here for the last episode we did of Give Yourselves. Do we each want to go and do our own story and then talk about our experiences? Or do we want to read the book as a group together and then make our choices together and either we live or die together?
I think we should do it together.
Okay. We have less endings, but we'll have a more unified team.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then do we have any closing statements for this book, starting with Grinch?
A message to the shadow guy from the episode? Go to hell.
He did, literally.
I think I went.
Josh got it. He gets it. Brandon, final statement.
If I never have to read this book again, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I'm never happy when I find it in the wild myself. Josh, final statement.
If I don't have to read this book again, it will be too soon.
My final statement is this. R.L. Stine had found an interesting concept, but had a bad time fleshing it out. I don't particularly blame him. I just think that it would have been better off as maybe a shorter story in one of the Tales to Give You Goosebumps.
The first dud he gave us.
Well, that's arguable. Cough, cough, mummy.
I'm specifically saying our serious dud.
Yeah, it's just disappointing when you come off the Night of the Living Dummy, or even more so, you have the banger that is Camp Nightmare, and then you go into this, and it's just like, what the fuck?
And then you got Haunted Masquerade next, which is like the fire of fires. Okay.
It was not bueno. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's about it, guys.
Listener beware, you're in for a scare.
Thank you for watching this episode of Goosebumps Podcast Can Be Murder. Make sure you join us next week when we tackle the book TikTok You're Dead as a Team. Thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button. Maybe share this with a few friends, because who doesn't enjoy a good Goosebumps podcast? If you'd like to, you can join us on Discord and be part of the team, since half of our team is missing in action. With that being said, we'll stab you in the next one. Bye!